at you and just pester them. You saw the difference in attitude in that interview that like TSM does feel kind of weightless in how they're approaching this series. There's no pressure on them.
All right, well, the bans are out of the way. It's Kalista, Sivir, Vi, Zeri, Sylas, and Seraphine all banned away. So not only the top 2 AD carries that are getting played all the time, but one of those aggressive options that counters them as well. The marksman pool getting hit pretty hard at the start as EG first picks Trundle and TSM responds with Azir and Wukong.
It is interesting because since they're taking that approach of banning out the marksman, it does mean Lulu, Yuumi, both available, these high priority enchanters. So I'm curious to see if EG is going to grab them up because Wukong and Yuumi is a really, really strong pairing. If they were willing to go that way. We did see EG play Ezreal Yuumi as well in their last series, so there are different pairings that teams can go towards.
It's just interesting as well to see the Trundle first pick. Not something you see a ton of. Wukong is much higher presence globally on the current patch, so that kind of being taken away right out the gate, especially, Vi ban and whatnot, is a surprise.
I think this is a nod to what they're expecting from Solo. I think they're going to be expecting Solo to play tank top, and if you are, then it really raises the priority of the Trundle, so by grabbing it early here, I think it's a pretty solid matchup into most jungle matchups, and you're kind of weakening the picks that Solo might want to be going towards, like a blind Ornn.
You also have, with the 2 later game scaling hyper carries of the meta banned out in Sivir and Zeri, that's some of the late game punching potential to get through big frontline gone off the table. So if Tactical, who is a player who does play those more aggressive picks, like the Kalista, it makes them have to get an even bigger lead because in mid to late game, getting through a Trundle, and if they also go Ornn or a Sejuani top or anything like that's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he goes Ornn, he's already been pre-counterpicked by the Aatrox and the Trundle, right? So it's like the value of the Ornn is still there, but they already have the 2 picks you would want into this, right? And this is one of the things that actually used to happen to Impact a lot in the past when GP was really, really strong. People would blind GP against Impact when he's on TL, and he would just pick tanks into it anyway. And they're kind of setting up that type of a situation here against TSM, who is going to be going for very heavy scaling. You've already got the Ornn, you've already got the Azir. Wukong as well is one of those more scaling style junglers. So TSM looking to build a late game comp.
And the second half of the draft, I think, is going to be very interesting here because both sides still need to pick AD carry and support. Yes, TSM gets the first one of whichever those they want, but it'll be EG that gets to pick both of their elements first.
It's also interesting because that is not the case in the meta. You go first pick, AD carry, almost every single game, and then you usually slam your support with it. And the fact that with all these AD carry bans coming in, there's a heavier emphasis on what your counter pick's going to be because you don't have the generic strength that you sometimes see these other ones come through. And this is one of the big criticisms people had about EG in that series after they lost was potential champion pool problems with Danny.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up is will this pinch Danny at all, right? Is it going to be some sort of an issue there? I mean, I don't think so personally because I know that he does still have a number of picks that aren't going to be banned out. And we have seen him bring out Kalista once so far this split, so it'd be interesting. He does have, I think, more depth than people necessarily give him credit for.
And I mean, hey, that's one of the reasons why EG would be more comfortable banning away Kalista in the first half, banning away Lucian as the only non-support ban in the second half of the bans here. These aggressive marksmen that Danny does not typically play, they remove them from the table. TSM locks in the Xayah for tactical.
More of a teamfight-oriented pick. It does have some strength in lane phase, especially if we end up seeing the Rakan come in, which is one of Chime's best champions still available here in a pretty strong bot lane pairing. And it will give them team fighting in the mid to late game because obviously with Ornn and Azir, you are much more indexed into that kind of mid to late game team.
And the key thing here for TSM is that they blinded their solos, or they early rounded their solos here so that they can actually have support pick on 5, right? So they are going to be picking very likely for the 2v2. The Xayah not necessarily, known for lane dominance, but if you do have the support advantage in that last pick, you can pick for a winning 2v2, give you a lane to attack, because Azir and Ornn are much more about just scaling, chilling out, and Spica does need an avenue of attack here. I don't think TSM is going to want to play completely slow and reserved.
Yeah, and as well as the fact that we see potentially the Rakan takeaway. Chime won player of the series in that upset over FlyQuest because he can be such a good playmaker. So giving him 5th pick makes a lot of sense when he has things like the Bard that he can bust out. And there you see, the takeaway by the Rakan, not wanting to give that powerful duo over.
And I really love the fact that they picked something not just to deny the Rakan from the Xayah, but this EG squad needed some engage. Trundle's not hard engage. Ahri can be picked. Aatrox isn't hard engage. For a squad like EG that likes to scrap, you need to to have that trigger pull.
I actually love the Janna here. You know,
Yeah.
yes, there was a bit of a denial. Janna's super good into Rakan, super good into Trundle, super good into Aatrox. You do have some really, really strong denial. It's very easy as Rakan is going with the W, just tap your R, knock him back, deny that. Same things with these kind of binary champions like Trundle, like Aatrox. If you knock them back with the Tornado, knock them back with the ulti, especially, I'm expecting him to go Glacial Augment against them. It can be very difficult to actually fight through that. So it does put a lot of pressure on Vulcan to make sure he's perfectly on point with those engages. Jojopyun is able to get into that backline as well, because if they're not coordinated and can't get in the backline to find these assassinations, Xayah is already a tough dive target. You're fighting through Ornn, through Azir, through Janna. There's so much peel and so much 5v5 power here in what TSM has drafted.
And that's exactly what people were criticizing EG for last series, was their inability to find good team fights. And so this comp is already putting the pressure on them to show that they've made that improvement over the course of this week that they had off.
EG, let's do it! Now we're there, now we're on Summoner's Rift. We didn't curse nothing, it's time. EG and TSM. One team gets to go forward, one team has to go home. I love elimination in playoffs.
Stakes are definitely high right now. You could see the TSM members in their interview feeling a lot lighter, more jovial. Jojo seemed very sad in the interview after the loss, and already we're gonna see what they think.
Yep, and Solo knows that EG are hungry for a win here in the lower bracket. Let's check out his thoughts.
Yeah, lower bracket run is definitely hard. A lot of games. I think, though, you know, the teams that are losing and coming down to you, they already are losing. They're a little upset, a little tilted. Us, we're always playing on house money. I mean, no one really expects us to, like, make it out of it, so we can always come in, like, very loose. Whereas they have like all these expectations coming from the upper bracket. If they lose, they're over. And nobody wants to lose the TSM, especially going to the World. So I think pressure's off us. It's kind of all on them, and I think that's kind of our advantage.
That seems to be the edge the TSM may have. They are the only team in the LCS that can't lose to TSM.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think I've seen that a couple times.
TSM's beat themselves a couple times this split flowers. You might have been wrong in that one.
Well, that's the reason why I'm not the analyst, gentlemen. That's why I've got the two of you here with me today. Let's see how this game's starting off, as both of our junglers are at their respective red buffs, so should be pathing to different sides, but we're immediately seeing Inspired cross river after clearing just his red, going into the blue side of Spica.
Yeah, you saw Impact move down there and actually get an early ward out to make sure that this path was not going to be contested immediately. Nice little sneak in there as well. No vision by TSM to spot this one out, so they're not going to have any idea this blue is gone, and Spica won't be able to adjust his clear until he sees it.
I mean, just look how many D wards they put on Spica, right? There's literally 4 wards at 2 minutes in his jungle, including a pink ward.
Who's the biggest threat on the enemy team?
Yeah.
That's kind of the answer right there. They ward the hell out of Spica right to start the game.
Exactly, and Inspired actually started only 1 pot, so we could start a pink and put a pink there right off the bat. It's like, very clearly, they're saying, how could we lose? Well, we could lose to Spica, and it's four level 1 wards here, you know, already in there tracking him and looking for the 3 buff.
And I also really like how they do it in a game where they've got Trundle. This is a champion who has some camps that he vastly prefers to others because of his damage being so single target focused. So hey, why not just grab another one of the camps that's just one big dude?
Definitely the case, and as TSM, you know, it's a little bit of a badge of honor, but also a frustration, I'm sure. You get to say, oh, everyone's targeting me. Look what they did. They had to steal my camps, throw out 4
I'm
wards.
so popular.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm sure Spica would prefer also to have a little bit more influence in the early game. I will say as well, his job is not necessarily to get a monstrous lead himself or find all these kills. So that is nice for him that there's not a ton of pressure on him to immediately go out and make something happen. They do have that kind of scaling advantage that we touched on.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing G4 or anything, right? You know, and generally speaking, as long as TSM does perform in 5v5 later on, Spica's job is more to neutralize. It's to make sure that Inspired is not running over the game. It's to make sure that, you know, if EG is looking for these roaming plays, that he can be there to protect Solo on potential dives, to protect his bot lane on potential dives. That's really what they're trying to do here. You can see the wave was stacked, it was pushed in. I don't think they're looking for any sort of a dive on Solo at this point. He's far too healthy, but it is going to be Krugs taken away. You can see on the other side of the map, though, it's the answering play here from Spica. So it has the read that he will be losing his top side camps, just goes down and looking to answer that, and Vulcan just trying to harass as much as he can.
Yeah, same thing for Impact, getting a lot of harassment to the turret and also getting a full wave ahead already. A pretty good position for the Aatrox to be in. We talked about it being a bit of a self-counter pick, taking the Ornn into it. Solo does have a huge preference for these kind of tanks and what we think of as weak side champions, but TSM has actually played around him a fair amount. He had the highest jungle proximity of top laners in the regular season once he's subbed in, because he's so good about setting up plays for the team because of these champions.
And an absolute monster CSD as well. His CSD at 15 in the regular season was nearly 14, and in playoffs it's been over 20 here. Does Spica have his clone back? He very likely does. So I don't think Inspired's going to commit to anything too much here.
Chicken fight!
We'll take at least one away.
They're both just seeing who can whack more chickens with their giant club.
It's like a all-you-can-eat buffet. Who can get more chicken?
Yeah. You just got your fork in the bowl trying to get as much as you can, but Spica will get the biggest chicken, and that's what matters.
It's basically my family growing up. You know, some good food gets put in the fridge. It's going to be gone in an hour. You got to eat as fast as you can.
A race to the bottom of the bowl, and Spica ends up being the one taking most of the money there, although Inspired does get a little bit. You're going to see your junglers, or at least Inspired, making his way back, picking up the Sheen first of all, gives him a nice little bit of extra clear too. But Spica is not going back just yet. He did stop up here in the top side just to make sure nothing bad was going to happen to Solo as he got this wave pushed up, but things seem to be going all right for him up here. 31 to 41, down a bit of CS, but that's what you would expect early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to be seeing Inspired, go in towards Divine Thunder. Generally, people like this when they are going up against tanks because that is their tankiness, and Solo pretty far up here, definitely going to be in trouble.
Solo gets hit by the Q3. There's the pillar. He flashes on the other side of it. They're going to look to slow him down. I think the chain hit the minion.
It did.
It hit the minion. The chain hits a minion, and Solo walks away. Tactical at 200 HP here in the bottom lane. Chime throws out the tornado. Evil Geniuses definitely in control in the 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, EG there, up on the top side. Spica, was he spotted? He should have been spotted.
Oh, Danny. He's going to get jumped on here by the Wukong if they're not careful. Spica's still just waiting in that brush. Danny shifts forward.
That was actually so close. So I guess they must not have spotted him. Maybe he went straight into the brush and they didn't catch him going over. I wasn't sure if they would have actually had vision, but to me on the top side, it was like a misordering of spells there. They obviously decided to use Pillar to force Flash, then use Chain to get the kill. But I think we saw such an easy angle early on for the Chain. When Impact was already melee range, there was no mini wave there. You should have just used the Chain immediately to actually force the Flash, then Pillar up after, because there's no real ability to outplay that. So I do think it was kind of a misordering of spells.
And hey, sometimes those happen. It's a bit unfortunate for Evil Geniuses if they weren't able to execute on that one, but if you're TSM, you're happy. Solo spends the flash, he gets to walk away. No death, just goes back and shops. Should be just fine here.
Yeah, down a fair amount of CS in that matchup. Kind of knew that was what he was signing up for when he took it. And for TSM, you're a couple hundred gold down off that kind of laning advantage that he's found. That's fine. This is one of these games, this is an interesting start to a series for TSM where they're basically saying, let's see how good EG is, and taking full scaling and putting the pressure on them to make these plays, find opportunities like that and actually convert on them, because if they can't, you would think that TSM's team fighting should take over. And a good check for a team that, you heard Solo talking about coming down off of a loss and trying to recover.
Yeah, absolutely. I like these little things that we see from Solo, and it's one of the reasons that he can actually stay relevant in a lot of these bad matchups, is he actually just pulls the wave there, right? He stacks it so that even if Impact was looking to slow push or pull a freeze or anything, it is going to push towards him, so he doesn't actually have to interact with Impact on that wave whatsoever. He just stacks the wave, so it's going to come to him, and then he just chills at the tower. He has his TP still available. Impact has already used his, so if he can continue to actually collect gold here, wait as long as possible before he goes back, he's going to have an easy TP back to lane, and it's going to be very difficult for Impact to actually shove him out.
And we'll see how long Impact wants to stay pushed up, stay forward here in this lane. Spica is up around the top side, and Evil Geniuses just got done picking up the Drake on the other side of the map just before 8 minutes for a first Drake, so honestly pretty fast if EG wants to also try to use that objective stacking to accelerate the pace of the game.
Absolutely. They're going to try and force TSM into some of these fights before they're sitting on 5 masterwork items or something like that, and Drake stacking is a huge way to do it, especially given that they don't have inherent bot lane pressure. There's been times where Chime has left lane. He had a roam mid initially to get some wards down.
Ooh, Maple knocked up into the air there. Vulcan, who does not have an ulti, doesn't have any more follow-up. Inspired's in some trouble. He tries to get away. Spica's got the knock-up. Jojo wants to come in and help, and it's first blood over to TSM's jungler. Impact goes over the wall and makes it 1-for-1. Evil Geniuses still trying to respond to this. Is there anything else to find? There is not. But things get spicy quickly here when the Rift Hero gets aggro.
Yeah, the XP advantage making a really big difference there at the end of the day. Inspired still level 5, Spica was 6. So Inspired did not have the ulti to actually survive that by ulting Solo. So they just look for the all-in. They do get the kill. It is traded back, yes, but overall, with First Blood going TSM's way, you're going to be really happy about that. They push them off the Herald, and they get the kill.
And that is a double buff on Impact's Aatrox as well, so he's really loving the outcome.
I mean, so obviously Solo's going to be a little sad having to go against that, but an important part of this is it does stop the play completely by EG. It delays this Rift Herald timing. Not only do you get the first blood to get the gold lead back in your favor, you get some of that gold, I believe it was onto Spica who got the last hit. I can't remember if it was him or Solo, but that does give the gold over to you, and it, again, stops that Rift Herald, so it'll delay the timing before they can get that charge. You can see on your minimap now, finally EG are going to be able to grab that one. Yep.
And I think that's such a good point because it is about pushing the pace of the game for EG, right? So every little play that you can make as TSM that slows this down, that gets you closer to Ornn items, closer to 3-item spikes, for this crit stealing MarkZ in the bot lane, for this, big AP monster in the mid lane, is a good play. So this is great for them.
I feel like in most games of League of Legends, the clock is not a neutral element. It's usually on the side of one team or the other, and this time around, TSM knows it's their buddy. It's working for them. So let's see how EG can continue to move things forward. Inspire does have the Eye of the Herald. We'll have all the way up to the plates falling timer to be able to use that one, try to get some more gold. Do you guys want to see this like dropped in mid just to try to open that up a little bit? Where do we want to go with this Herald?
Honestly, I think all three lanes have a reason you can justify in your head for why you want to drop it there. Top
Danny's
side,
in bot lane.
Danny's in bot lane. Would love that for me. Then you also have, obviously, the mid priority that you were talking about. Top side, if you can get ahead enough on the Aatrox matchup, you start having insane side lane pressure for, like, potentially 1-3-1 setups as well. So there is a reason for all of these, depending on what you want to do. I would argue the scaling on Danny might not be the strongest one. I'd rather see it probably in one of the solo laners.
Well, looking at the items there in that bottom lane, it is a strict Gale Force rush for tactical. A lot of times you see AD carries get Berserker Greaves, maybe get some lifesteal early on if they need it, but no, straight into the Gale Force, straight into the Mythic, going for the option that gives him a dash. I really like this on any marksman that doesn't have a dash built into the kit. Gives a lot of outplay opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's already going to be pretty difficult to actually pin down tactical. The only hard engage you really have is Vulcan. You can answer that with the Xayah ultimate. If it is just something like a Trundle pillar poking you in, you can obviously use the Gale Force to dodge out on that. It's the same reason we're also seeing a Swifty Boots rush here for Chime, because slows are going to be the main way that they actually catch him by pillaring him in. And with Glacial Augment plus Swifty Boots, it's going to be very difficult for them to actually close that gap without hard committing something like the Rakan ult to try to get in on you.
And it's also another advantage for bringing Tactical in to lane is he's a very aggressive, very strong laner. You're talking about the high 4%. That enables your support to get on the map and try and move around a lot. And already, Janna, what you normally don't think of as that much of a laner unless you're watching Lorlo's stream, all over the map. But that's what Janna's been doing. She's been working with Spica to get vision control, contest these objectives, and just let Tactical be 1v1 against the Ezreal.
And I mean, as a result, it's 2 plates bot for Tactical, a plate top for Ornn. The gold advantage is completely gone. It's 1K ahead now here for TSM, so a really good first 12 minutes, albeit a slow first 12 minutes here for the TSM side. I mean, Ornn is pretty much even, or at least close enough to even that who cares on gold last I checked, right after he actually did grab that plate. So he's down about 300 gold, but Solo is completely stable in that top lane. Impact is not really creating any sort of a big advantage. So games like this, to me, really come down to the first major team fight. Very likely we're going to see EG go for the next dragon here. And I think this is the kind of game that gets decided very heavily at that third dragon, where EG shows up. They've got to continue pushing the pace, moving towards Soul. And as soon as TSM comes to fight them, if EG don't win that, your time in the game can be over.
Yeah, you can see already Impact making his way down. No teleport available, roaming in.
Okay, Spica jumps back in towards him, has to drop the ulti defensively to reposition himself. TSM was investing a lot into controlling this bottom side river before the Drake spawned. You saw them move into Evil Genius's jungle, steal away the red buff, put down some vision as well. They really wanted to be able to set up here for the second one, and now it looks like Chime and Spica still trying to hang around, but they don't want to go too far forward. Maple's going to shadow them as well, but he has to remove this control ward unless he wants to give Evil Genius's vision of what he's up to. Impact continuing to stay involved. Solo's still top, and Solo has no TP.
This is what I like about what TSM's doing. They're not really contesting, but they're sticking around enough so Impact can't just go top lane back and ignore this dragon. So by just lurking around here by Spica and Chime, they're giving enough of a threat to commit EG's resources while Solo just gets gold in the top lane, but they're actually gonna go.
They are going in for it. The Drake's already got in the way of EG, but the fight goes to TSM. One already down, and Spica continues the charge. Jojo's in trouble, but now Spica might be tanking up here on the front. Impact is stuck! Impact is down, and TSM get 2.
4v5, TSM actually pull the trigger on the contest right after they finish the dragon. They find 2 kills. They have all the pressure mid lane now.
I mean, EG are completely out of sorts. They're even dropping the Herald there. That had to be an accident, I think, unless it was about to expire.
Yeah, it was, because they got it right around 10 minutes. They had to drop an absolutely worthless Shelly in their own jungle.
Man.
They get 0 value. They lose first turret. TSM is up 3,000 gold.
EG are a mess. TSM are slapping in this first game. 3K gold advantage with Azir, Ornn, Xayah, Janna. This early on is huge. EG, I think, just weren't even expecting the contest. Vulcan kind of poking forward there, trying to zone him out. Takes a pretty big chunk. The charm is spent, but it's not actually connecting on anyone. And then in comes Maple from the side, catching multiple members there. And Tactical is just ripping through him.
Yeah, I mean, Impact had basically started heading back top lane. I think EG didn't want to keep him around any longer. TSM get the read on that and realize it's just a 4v4, and they have an insane angle for that Azir ult. Being able to instantly find that kill makes it again a 4v4 by the time Impact shows up, and then he's desperate to try and turn that fight around. They just focus him down next.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really well played there by TSM, and honestly, I think I would have been on the EG, same page as EG, where it's like, we just saw Wukong use his ulti, Ornn isn't here, there's no way they even try to contest. They're just gonna give this one for free. And I think that's kind of the mindset that EG was in, because they just did not seem prepared for that fight whatsoever.
Man, such a nice fight by Maple. We were talking about the experience a little bit before the game started that both these teams have. It's actually equal in terms of total number of Worlds appearances. Yep. Maple has 6. Impact is the other one on the other team that has 6, and then from there it's like 2 and 1 for most of the other guys, with a couple not appearing yet. Obviously Jojo and Danny as the younger players, Chime for TSM. And so in terms of like dealing with pressure, TSM is no stranger to that, as well as what it takes to make clutch plays and win games. And right there, Maple just gave them a huge lead.
So let me ask you guys here, because we're talking about TSM scaling advantage. We're talking about how EG needs to get ahead early. We're also now talking about an over 3,000 gold lead, 16 minutes in. How dire is this for EG?
I think it's extremely dire. I mean, the scaling, let's be honest, doesn't really matter until like 3 items. I think that's where it's like, oh, time to FF, right? Like if you're way behind and they hit 3 items, it's very, very hard. But they do have playmaking, and they just got to pick now.
Okay, Chime gets picked. Nicely done. Vulcan setting that one up. That's what I was talking about in Champ Select. Vulcan needs to be roaming around making the picks.
And that's something that EG will always have, right? Yep. Is the X factor of Vulcan, Jojo. If you can create pockets of vision that TSM doesn't really control, and they have to face check into there, the only person who can actually face check well is Ornn, right? And if Ornn is pushed up, in a side lane, and he's not with that team, Wukong, it's dangerous to actually face check. It's dangerous on Chime as well. So EG will have their windows, and EG's team fighting is also so good. So, you can never really count them out of a game completely.
That was what gave them their 15-3 record in the regular season, and why people were saying they were so good was they could find fights that didn't seem available, and they would get kills. So that was a nice opportunity there to find a pickoff, kind of off a reset for TSM there. The fact that they drop bot turret as well gives them more room to work with for their comp, because it's not just straight team fighting. They have this extra bit of mobility to move around the map with the Ahri, try and find pickoffs.
And look at the AD carry difference right now. Second completed item coming in for Tactical with the rapid fire cannon. Danny still has an unevolved Manamune, as well as just the pieces for his full Sheen evolution.
I mean, he's 1,600 gold down individually. Like, that is a monster disadvantage down in that bottom lane. Tactical had the push in the 1v1, was getting plates. He's picked up some kills. They've picked up a tower. So, like, he is getting a lot more gold here than Danny.
Man, what an insane turnaround for Tactical,
Yeah.
He was playing in Academy just a couple weeks ago. Now here he is, being the most fed member of TSM as they try and take down the #1 seeded juggernaut EG, and he's the guy with all the resources that they're playing around. They're giving him a Herald charge now. Like, what an insane comeback for Tactical.
I mean, it's kind of how TSM got wins with him in spring, though, right? When you think about how TSM actually got wins, it was all eggs in the Tactical basket, and it was he was going to 1v9 or they were going to lose, right? And it was kind of like that was their strategy. So it's interesting to see them having that faith, and if they're able to actually stop this soul stacking, I think that's such a big deal, because this next dragon here is spawning in 10 seconds.
And TSM has control over the bottom side. Evil Geniuses sending a teleport into top lane to go after Solo. Impact will be walking up. Jojo's still looking to keep him locked down here. Unstoppable's not going to get him away from a whole lot. Solo still has a flash, but it's a pretty foolish errand to try to use it there. Impact picks up the kill, but that means TSM has control over the Drake. The soul stack stops here.
Soul stacking dead for EG, but I think it's the right call because you saw with that Rift Herald push around tactical bot lane, they had no avenue to actually contest that dragon anyway, so instead they TP top, get that kill, and now they're gonna look for another angle.
Now they're going in yet again. Chime's gonna be found first. Danny needs a little bit more damage to kill him, but Tactical is already down, and it's Jojo picking up the money.
Man, it's just too much there from Tactical. You don't need to be pushing for that tier 2 tower. You're already outscaling. There's no answer of a play top lane. Yes, they killed Solo, but Solo killed the wave. So they weren't going to be able to take that top lane tier 1. So all they can really do is look for a pick on the map, and Tactical kind of serves it up to them. Was even a shutdown there. Uses his ulti. Thankfully, he didn't at least use his summoners, but those are the kind of mistakes that can really cost you.
And I mean, yeah, he wanted to push for the tier 2, get the extra money, but in giving over the shutdown as well as the assist money on that, you're kind of just given the same amount back. Not quite, because it's a tier 2 at least, but still, the game's gold lead has been around this 3,000 point for a while.
So, like you said, the gold lead hasn't fluctuated a ton. It did give some shutdown, get some gold back in their pockets. When you look in terms of actual items, it's now 2-2. For the most part, Ezreal's build is actually relatively accelerated. Doesn't go for a lot of those crit options like you're talking about that often end up more expensive.
Right.
So they are even-ish. There is still that extra lead with the BF sword in Tactical's pocket, but the question for me is, does EG want to contest in 3 minutes when the dragon spawns again? Because they have to actually stop TSM from continuing to stack and get just free stats.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough because I don't think they have a comp that you can win through sides, right? Like, you can play side lane as EG and try to get the push and then try to look for collapse and take over enemy jungle and find picks and stuff like that, but Aatrox is not going to split push the game to a victory, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not a Fiora, it's not a Camille. You don't have anywhere near that kind of advantage to actually do that against Solo, who already has 2 completed items, has the Ornn upgrade through. So it is going to come down to team fights at some point.
I mean, to that point, yeah, it's a 3-kill Aatrox, but it's a like 50 gold lead for the Aatrox side. So Impact does not actually have that much leverage over the Ornn in the side lane to just brute force us down.
And we're also now at level 13 for Solo, which means those masterwork items are going to start coming in. Things are going to start getting even more worrying for the evil geniuses. Isaac, you said just a few minutes ago that when you're up against a scaling comp, the point where you start to really get worried, really get concerned is around 3 items. Yeah. Well, we've hit 2 items on the big players in TSM. Solo's got it, Maple's got it, Tactical's got it. One more item and you're officially in the danger zone.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's kind of, you know, when the multiplication items come through, right? When the IE comes through, potentially when the death cap comes through, and it's really kind of amplifying all those stats that you have, and that's when those champions really do start to take over. It is going to come down to execution always, of course, but TSM going to be really, really happy about their position in this game, and I think it's a lot of pressure on EG already. This team obviously has a massive amount of investment into it as well. They are expected to make Worlds. Everyone was looking at them as the runaway favorites to win the summer title, to go to Worlds as the #1 seed here after their improvement from MSI. So it's a lot of pressure on these guys, and if you drop this first game, I think you're really going to be sweating.
First team All-Pro is EG with Someday.
Yep.
Like, that's during regular season, this team was standout. They were so far beyond the rest of the pack, and now in playoffs, I don't know if they flew too close to the sun. I don't know if parts of the ship are falling apart. Theseus's evil geniuses, what has been replaced behind the scenes? What is going on here that is causing this team to feel so different? Because they're definitely struggling.
On the flip side for TSM, they were the ship of Theseus. They were literally rebuilding their roster on the fly, trying new pieces out, trying to find a lineup that seemed to work for them. And they might have done it in playoffs. They took down FlyQuest, which I think was a surprise for a lot of people, even though it was, 6 versus 7. It was a relatively close battle. But just based off regular season, TSM could just not find their footing. And now, here they are, going toe-to-toe in Game 1 against that #1 seed.
Impressive stuff from this org, but they still have to close the game with the lead that they have. Evil Geniuses have 45 seconds until that next Drake spawns. Maple going to be clearing out some of this vision. I love this little ward that you see from Evil Geniuses here on the left side, because it avoids the control wards that are commonly placed in the Baron pit, so it's one of those that frequently just ends up getting missed.
I love it that TSM is also not greeting for the Baron. They're working as a 5-man unit often, this big ball to take over an entire side of the map. So there you see them checking, because they do have ways into the pit. Obviously, Wukong can hop the wall, Azir can stand behind and just kind of hit it over or go into the pit. They have some options for seeking a Baron, so nice check there by Danny. But the bigger point being that TSM has worked as a unit, again, grouping up now as 4-man to get vision control for the upcoming Dragon fight and just smothering EG.
And Spica steals away the red buff even, jumps in there, hits it with the Q. So Inspired won't have that one here for the next fight. TSM have control over the bottom river, they have control over the Drake pit, and Evil Geniuses have no desire to go anywhere near them. So that's gonna be a second Hex Tech Drake going over to TSM. Remember, these are worth 9 attack speed and 9 ability haste each. That's a lot of stats.
I mean, there's just no vision from EG. Like, you're looking in this section, those are TSM wards, these are TSM wards. You know, one ward just got, or 2 wards just got placed cross map for a trade on the Dragon, right? Like, that's what they got, is actually dropping that. And Impact's pushing top, of course, but at the end of the day, it is concerning. Like, I understand they didn't have the setup, as Danny could be in trouble here.
Danny knocked up into the air. Spica looking for a little more, but Inspired is there in time to keep him alive. One thing that I'm also just now noticing that I think is a bit concerning, Danny still does not have that Manamune stacked up to a Muramana. I feel like on Ezreal, normally this item is evolved significantly faster.
Yeah, I mean, he was locked in lane for a very long time, you know, with just a longsword. He didn't do a tier start, so he's on only a longsword in that 1v1 for a very, very long time. He also wasn't playing TP, so he couldn't take an early base to go back for a tier Sheen buy, which is pretty standard. But yeah, I mean, I understand why EG didn't challenge at the Dragon, because they had no setup for it, but it is hard to see when they are going to find that good angle, right? Because the clock is ticking, IE is now done, there's 2 items done on Maple. It doesn't get better for you. You know, the Ornn upgrades are going to be coming through. We're going to see, you know, multiple of those coming up.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you also just got both sums off Danny for just your Wukong ult means that when TSM decides it's time to legitimately pressure bear, not just vision control, but start it and see how EG reacts, it's potentially not going to have sums on your AD carry. And the other thing I wanted to point out quickly, Maple's CS is insane. He was getting up close to 300 just post 25 minutes. He's probably going to clear it on this wave. He had that insane play in the early game as well to kind of jumpstart him. And this Azir, if you don't find a way to blow him up at the start of these fights, it's not just tactical you have to worry about. Yeah. It's double backline threat.
And TSM is looking at this Baron area now. There's a lot of control wards in their inventory. Tactical tries to go in. Tactical runs it right into him. That's not where he wanted to be, and now TSM's got to back away. EG looks for more, and it's a big engage coming out. Maple's going to be stuck in the middle of everybody as Solo goes back in, trying to keep him alive. Maple gets away, but Solo's tombstone is going to be Trundle's pillar as Impact gets the kill.
I can't believe it just happened here. EG are going to force on Baron, I think. This is their window here. They get a kill on a tactical, a kill onto Solo. I think you start this up and try to look for a turn here. Spica is still alive, but Spica critically has no smite. They, of course, may not have that timer, but we know he doesn't have it for a couple more seconds. It should be up before the Baron goes down.
Baron at 6K. TSM with 3 players alive trying to contest. In 20 seconds, Solo will be alive. He has a TP, but it's going to be secured by Jojo. Spica trying to fight through this. He's going to lose Guardian Angel. He should die for free here, I would expect. Vulcan's timing is beautiful. Maple goes over, gets 1. Maple goes over, gets 2. Maple wants to get 3, but he won't find it. Charm back over onto the Janna. Tactical's here. He's back into the fight, but he's denied by a pillar. Jojo and Inspired need to get the hell away. Jojo hit by the ulti, but he won't be rooted up by the feathers. He keeps on.
He lost vision.
What is going on? There's the shutdown. TSM may have lost the Baron, but they claim it back from everybody except Inspired.
TSM find 4 kills on the tail end of a big whoopsie, as you heard Jack call tactical prone to sometimes there. It was him getting picked off in the jungle that started that entire sequence. TSM did, I would say, recover it slightly there. The fact that Maple was able to get so many down in this Rocket flip the switch replay.
Yeah, I mean, it's Rocket flip switch replay. Tactical, why are you going for this 1v1 here? I mean, it's one of those situations where you don't have eyes on everyone. He just gets hungry for the kill. He says, Danny has no sums. I'm just going to Gale Force on him, and when he shifts back, I'm going to use my ulti, I'm going to kill him off, but instead, he throws away his advantage, goes down on the charm there from Jojo. It's a great punish, and yes, TSM do wipe off a lot of these Baron kills, but this was a 3K lead, completely eliminated.
Yeah, I have to give my head tap to Solo there, going in, knowing he's probably going to die to save Maple, coming out of that stopwatch, the fact that he got the knockup, which allowed Maple to get the flag out.
Oh, we're not done. It's time for another battle as the Azir turret is summoned up to protect TSM as they continue pushing. Remember that Inspired is the only Evil Geniuses player who has Baron, so he has to be nearby if they want to enchant these waves.
Definitely the case, and you can see TSM, the gold lead's gone. They still have those scaling advantages. They still have some pressure, but they need to play this out a little bit cleaner.
Spire will back away. TSM clearing out vision from the enemy jungle, controlling everything. There's 25 seconds until the Drake, so TSM having the priority over moving into that area is very important.
Look at the vision. They have nothing. They're completely choked out, right? They can't see anything. And this will be sole point now that they'd be moving to if TSM grabs this next dragon. EG are trying to threaten the mid push with their Baron to get something out of it. Impact looking for a flank here. Tactical does have no flash, remember.
Impact coming around from the side. Tactical goes up into the air. He dodges away from the charm. Ornn sounded off. Comes back through and finds Danny, but nobody's close enough for any follow-up. Jojo goes over the wall, forcing out a flash there. TSM backing away, but staying together. Now going towards the pit. Evil Genius is still looking for it. There's no Ahri ult. There's no Rakan ult. Those are two of the biggest tools for finding an engage, for finding a pick. Tactical, however, also no ult on the Xayah, but Wukong and Azir just about ready to drop those ultis here as TSM contains everything in this pit. They keep EG away, they secure Soul Point, but the fight could still break out. Impact and everybody else on EG trying to walk away from it. Inspired on the flank, but they aren't gonna find much yet. True Shot Barrage hits 3. EG, control over the mid lane, pushing towards the tier 2.
No minion wave, though, to grab that turret after getting mid control, so Spica's going to get around, Tactical's going to get around. They do get the dragon, they lose the mid turret, which brings the gold lead basically to dead even. 3 Drakes to 2. And Baron not on the menu now for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, Baron taken away. But despite the fact that gold looks pretty even, it's an additional Drake worth of stats. And it is now 4 Ornn items that should be through here once he buys time to actually give everyone those upgrades. So the gold is lying to you, and the scaling really is kicked in now, where it's more than 3 items here for Tactical. You know, he's working on his 4th. It's 3 done as well for Maple. Yes, there's no death cap, but still a lot of flat AP in his build with that Shadow Flame. You know, has the Void Staff 3rd, so TSM are in control. And I've got to give them a lot of credit because this isn't just some random game where they found kills, as Maple could be in some trouble here.
Okay, Maple trying to deny this pick here using the ulti, but Jojo still wants him. Minion wave shows up at a good time, but not good enough. That's going to be a pretty important death here for Maple.
Solo's in trouble
Solo has teleported into a spot where he's now isolated behind enemy line. Spica wants to come in and help. Solo, the target, under pressure as Vulcan regroups with the rest of the team, having lost half health. Solo lives, but both summoner spells are now down
in trouble.
Of TSM. Tactical gets bit. Gale forced to get himself away. That active keeps him safe.
Huge flank by Vulcan to initially get onto Maple and set that play up. Maple tried to scoot out of there, but too much chase down potential with the Shurelya's, with the ultimate from Ahri. They find that pick off, and EG is clawing tooth and nail back into this game, slowly getting the gold lead in their favor, getting better vision set up. It's been a very hard road. It's not over yet, but somehow feeling like they're getting control over this game.
I mean, they're going to have some opportunities, right? I wouldn't say, you know, they're in control. I still favor TSM's position for sure, especially because, you know, as I was going to jump into before we saw that pick, TSM has done a great job with vision control. Their objective setups have been actually really good. Every time it comes time for Dragon, these last 3 times, you toggle the vision over to EG's side, they've got nothing. They can't see anything. It is so difficult to actually get in there, but they will have their opportunities because death cap is done here for Jojo. You know, the 4th item is coming through for Danny, so there is going to be a lot of damage threat if they can actually find these picks and execute on these plays.
Yeah, the fact that Impact is 6-2-1. Jojo, like you said, 3-1-7. They have the threat on the backline should they find these angles. And while TSM's vision control has been really good, anytime it kind of breaks into a scramble situation, it seems to be going EG's way. The last 3 or 4 plays have mostly gone EG's favor, and that's why the goal lead has closed. Because yes, when it is straight up front to back, TSM are going to be the advantage, but they don't always find that setup.
I agree. You know, they're not able to always find that setup, but thankfully for them, they have been every single time around Dragon, and that's the focal point now.
Yep.
You can't give up another soul here. Tactical is in some trouble, but he's just going to turn it around the play.
They're ready to try to go back against EG here. Jojo's ulti's been used. True Shot Barrage on 3. Skill shots being traded back and forth between both sides. Maple summons up the Azir Sun Disc.
Look at Spica.
Spica's looking for the flank. If he can find an opportunity to engage on one of these high-value targets, could go a long way, but Danny finds him first.
Both teams kind of swapping sides here. You see the ultimate out of Chime to just top them off in this standoff situation. They might just stand here for another minute until Dragon spawns.
Yeah, you don't often see the Janna ulti used just as the heal. Normally, it has to have some sort of an impact in the fight.
I like
disrupt
this.
everybody, but
EG are going to
goes to
start.
Baron.
Yeah, they're going straight to the Baron. They want to pull in because they have vision control on top side. TSM has it on bot side. So they say, all right, come fight where we are ready for it. Impact did just show, though, so they do have eyes on Impact here. He's marked, but watch Vulcan. He's going to look for the pivotal flank here, but he has been spotted by that control ward. And you have Solo marking Vulcan, Spica marking Impact, and that will push EG back. EG now with a late reset here, 40 seconds until Dragon. They got to get back out on the map and try to get some semblance of vision control because, again, they have absolutely nothing in this whole area. Not one ward on that side of the map.
This is the Hex Tech Soul if TSM can claim it here. EG will make it back out onto the map now. 25 seconds to go. They'll move through their own jungle. They don't even have time to go after the red buff. Pillar scares Spica away, but it doesn't force a flash. It doesn't force an ulti. Evil Geniuses moving forward. Impact trying to get that mid wave shoved out here too. Give them as much priority as they can get. TSM are still the ones with control over the pit. TSM have Scuttle Crab as well. The extra speed, the extra vision. Something that can't be removed. Very helpful in these types of standoffs.
Look at Vulcan and Impact.
Just lost half HP to Danny's poke. Solo trying to walk it off now a little bit here too. Vulcan's over the wall, but he is right on top of a ward that is now disabled by Impact's sweeper. Vulcan coming around from another even further angle.
They're going to go for this play. They're going to collect from 3 angles.
Vulcan is summing up the quickness. He goes in for the knockup on the 2. Jojo's ready to follow up, and Maple's already down before he can do a thing. Solo now isolated. EG turning back onto the tank, back onto the top laner. Impact keeping everybody else away as True Shot Barrage flies loose. Danny is going to stand and fight, and Inspired's going to kill Solo. TSM lose 2.
Scaling be damned when you are this good at team fighting. The multi-pronged attack here. The full wraparound from Vulcan nails the engage onto Maple, and at the exact same time, in comes Jojo. The Charm is there to follow it up. They burst down the Azir. On the other side, they're also winning out on the skirmish. EG just so clean with that engage, and now they're going to try to turn it into a Baron play.
Yeah, exactly. Death timers are so long this late in the game. It's 15 seconds before Maple comes up with TP. Same Solo, 25 seconds. It's going to be on a smite steal for Spica.
Let's see if Spica can do it. That would have to be the hero moment. Over the wall goes Vulcan, right back into the pit. Immediately after, Spica's over the wall. He steals it! Spica saves it for TSM!
That was clutch by Spica, stealing that one away. The playoff smite troubles continue for Inspired, taken away there to keep TSM in this game.
Oh my God, that could have been the game. That could have been the game right there. That buys them so much more time. EG were getting all the momentum. They wanted that fairness, they held the advantage, but again, watch this play. Vulcan on the super long wraparound. Jojo has a spellbook Ghost. He uses the Ghost and the ulti to come in at the same time. Right here, right into their Charm, and then Jojo nails the Charm on the follow-up. That was picture perfect. That engage is really, really beautiful, and that's what gets them that team fight win. Then Danny on the backside, of course, here scrapping it out with Solo. They do get the kill, but we're back to live. They're looking for another pick here on Solo.
Solo is all alone here in the bottom lane against 3 evil geniuses. There's no way he lives. It's just how much time will this cost him? A little bit more damage. There we go.
Any second now.
Good Lord, it takes forever. Okay, Ornn is down, but EG had to use 3 players to do it. TSM with Baron pushing top.
And now EG are going to try to threaten an engage to push him back because they're saying we can't wave clear. That's why they're overloading one side of the map to actually look for the attack. Ezreal wave clear is terrible. Ahri is not going to do it. So they're trying to threaten here in the 5v4. Remember, Vulcan still has ulti and he does have flash. Vulcan is very far behind the team, but Danny's in trouble.
Danny almost dead. He's got to be so careful about this. There is no Guardian Angel on that Ezreal. Any random damage could take him out. Vulcan's still in position, but TSM now have the chance to get out. TSM have an escape path, and it looks like they'll be taking that one. No punish from EG. So honestly, it's a trade. An Ornn for an inhibitor. If you're TSM, I think you'll take that any day unless something else happens now. Charm over the wall, won't find Spica. He'll continue to walk away, and EG can't get anything back.
EG are hunting, though, always looking for flanks. It was critical that they got that chunk onto Danny, because otherwise Vulcan was gonna go. It would have been 4v5. They didn't use any ults really onto the side of Solo when they got that pick off either, so absolutely critical. They chunked out Danny, stuffed that engage, and then work as a group to get out of there. Here's that smite steal again. Chime comes in, throws the pink ward over so they get one vision. He's just spamming wards over the wall to give Spica as much information as possible.
It seems like EG was just completely out of wards. I don't think they had any wards left to actually keep eyes on Spica. Spica comes in, they do have him on sweeper, so they see it. That's a very early smite, it seemed like. That was
like
Q to
400,
470, and then I think a chomp came through for 400, and then that put it to 78, and then the second smite comes through. So even like, it was a little bit early. You feel like he could have waited for 100 or 200 more HP and then tried to burst, or try to have a teammate time the burst with him. That's a tough one. You know, it's easy to kind of flame inspired for that, but these are very high pressure plays, and you have to make those calculations really exactly.
Alrighty, boys. 90 seconds until what finally has to be the Dragon Soul, no matter what.
Or they can just all fight to the death, and then the game can end.
I guess that would be the only way we could avoid this. Either way, we are getting some PvP here in the next 90 seconds or so, as that mid lane tier 2 finally falls. TSM with a 7-3 turret lead because they've been in control of the game for such a huge majority of the time so far. 39 minutes on the clock. It'll be a little past 40 by the time that Drake Soul spawns. Still about 2.5 minutes left before the top inhibitor respawns for EG. And you can see Impact's got his teleport. He's shoving out top lane as hard as he possibly can for this dragon fight.
Yeah, I think for EG side, they have had to deal with this condition over and over again now. Every time TSM gets there first because they have the better front to back to be able to buy the space, set up the vision, and then it's on EG to worm their way in from there. And already you see
look at where
Impact
Vulcan
resetting.
is though. Tactical's pushing up. They may try to preempt the play here. He could look for a deep wraparound if TSM tries to heavily contest on mid, but TSM playing very far down, so there's not really a great angle here for Vulcan.
Now Spica was also wrapping around the other direction, sort of doing the mirror play that Vulcan was. They know that Impact is not with the rest of EG. Impact's clearing a ward. They're going in. They know Impact's not there. Jojo's going to be knocked up by the Ornn ulti, and there comes a swoop, but it's not going to do a whole lot. Vulcan's already down. TSM losing some health bars, but EG are the only ones who've lost a man. Guardian Angel's going to get procced as Impact tries to fight, but now he's going to have to be resurrected as well. Spica's clone dies. The real Spica barely gets away. Evil geniuses have lost their support. TSM haven't lost a thing.
But they have the health advantage here on the side of EG for a little bit. Danny's still full health here, and they're going to try to start this up. Inspired is trying to rush it down. We're going to see TP back here, potentially from Jojo and Impact.
They're ready to rejoin this. Inspired still hanging around. He does not want to let TSM be able to get away with this.
Flash advantages for the side of EG's carries as well.
Vulcan not alive for another 15 seconds. Inspired is low on health. Solo has a Warmogs. The Ornn is an immovable object here on the front line. The Drake getting hit a little bit by both sides. Inspired steps up. Azir soldiers right on top of the objective. Solo here in the front line finds knock up onto Jojo, but the charm comes out. There's trouble. Here's the Hex Soul, and TSM claims it. Solo's gonna die. Impact's gonna do the same. Spica tries to get away as we've got top laner traded for top and mid.
Pressure as well on the top side of the base. TSM come out so far ahead on the end of that play, killing extra members of EG, grabbing the soul point, Hex Soul, giving them such powerful combat stats. And already the base is getting ravaged by EG.
Oh my God, this game is so tense, but TSM now finally able to claim the soul there. Solo pushing forward, just buying the space. You know, giving up his life, I think, has had some really good deaths for TSM. You know, unironically,
it sounds funny, but
it's one of those situations, you know, the death in top lane actually buying time for Maple to survive, this one buying time for them to claim the soul. Now TSM going to be able to grab a free Baron here. And for EG, you're just hoping and praying you can capitalize on some sort of mistake from TSM here later on, because all of the items are through, all of the Ornn upgrades are through. The advantage is monumental now for TSM as far as stats. You can give him another 4K or so as Danny's in trouble.
Danny may just die to Maple, barely gets away from the soldiers. That Leandries was burning him dangerously close. TSM, they've got Soul, they've got Baron. They got a 4,500 gold lead. They're nearly full build on practically everybody, but it always happens this way. The pick potential, again, will stop TSM.
Spica just taking the close route to the wall. Didn't think he could get 100 to 0. He had the clone as well, thinking that he had all the opportunity to get out of there if they jumped on him, but gives that kill up, relieves so much pressure for EG. They had an open inhibitor in the top side, and they are able to force TSM back now.
And now, look at Vulcan. He's going for the wraparound. They're going to try to force on this play. Tactical's in trouble.
Tactical, he uses the ulti,
baited it.
and the Everfrost is there. Jojo baits him! Jojo beats him!
That was so sick. Jojo goes point blank there to then use the Q. So all Tactical can react to is the cast animation. You can't wait to see the projectile. Baits him with the Q, gets the ulti out there, then perfectly times the charm to get the kill. EG now will be on the push here. Let's see this one more time. Again, he's gonna close the gap. If you shoot at max range, he can wait for the projectile. When he's this close, you cannot. He sees the cast animation, he pops the ulti, and that charm was cracked from Jojo.
That was just beautiful. I don't know if that's Fortnite mechanics or what.
That's pixel perfect.
That's the kind of energy Jojo's gonna be bringing. Spica's gonna be caught again. He tries to get away with the ulti, but the Everfrost leads him to an icy grave.
TSM are coming apart at the seams now. Pickoff after pickoff after pickoff going in EG's way. Just takes the Hex Gate to his doom there. Now, we don't have any major objectives up for EG to push off of this. So despite these series of incredible plays, they don't actually have this amazing way to win the game, but it did stop what felt like a doom scenario with that Baron push.
Absolutely, and it bought them time to potentially get that one big fight at Elder, right? You know, you started to feel like with that Baron, with the Soul, TSM could potentially close the game. At Elder, it's anyone's game. If it comes down to a smite, if EG wins it, Soul be damned, gold advantage be damned, scaling be damned. Elder is the equalizer there, and that's what EG is going to be thinking about now.
This game is so crazy. It started with EG having the early game comp, making a massive mistake, falling 3K down, their dragon stacking, stopping, and it feels like ever since then, they've been clawing to find some control back in the game because there's so many natural advantages working in TSM's favor that they're just fighting from underneath them the entire time, and they've done such a good job from that. It's just they have so many natural disadvantages to their comp.
Yeah, I mean, when you draft, yourself into this big of a disadvantage in the later stages of the game, you have to absolutely outplay. And they've been so good at finding multiple angles of attack, and without being able to find these different angles from Vulcan and from Jojo and from Impact, this game would have been over 10, 15 minutes ago, it feels like. But EG are able to find that. Danny, though, in trouble here. He has no flash.
You want to talk about angles? Tactical may have just found the angle that wins the game.
I think they could. I think they can look for pushing for the end here. This is the longest game of playoffs so far, but TSM now may have everything they need to close this one out. EG's wave clear is pitiful without it. Vulcan trying to cut the wave.
Vulcan, he can't do a whole lot with it, but Tactical is dead here in the mid lane. Inspired's gonna be focused pretty low, but he ain't down yet. Jojo wants to get away. Impact flying back as the World Ender is about to stop. They'll still try to fight this one off. TSM going forward. There's one Nexus turret left. EG's got to get back out onto the map here and now. Turret goes down. Nexus open. Inspired dead. TSM is going for the win. It won't be a 3-0 unless TSM says it's so. They will take out the #1 seed. They'll pad the stats, and TSM strike first.
Opening game defies all expectations. TSM find the win over EG. Off the back of Maple at the end of it. Danny getting picked off as well by Tactical. Both carries by TSM making huge plays.
Absolutely. I mean, Tactical gets a solo kill on Danny, then dies without using Summoners or Ultimate. You start thinking, hey, maybe is it going to flip around? But Maple coming up big at the very end there. This one was an absolute banger, back and forth game here. 46.5 minutes it took for TSM to close this one out. Down in kills overall, 15-18. You know, we got 7 dragons, we got multiple barons, we had baron steals, we had near comebacks. Like, this one had everything. I will say for EG though, they did a hell of a job in the later stages to actually stay competitive when they had been very heavily outscaled. And I do wonder now, do you actually pivot away from the kind of draft that they brought out here? Because they did not do anything close to running over TSM in the early game. Maybe they should just go late and match them, because they did look like they were handling that late game pretty well.
Yeah, already looking forward ahead to game 2, because I'm so excited to see the adaptations that are going to come in. The first pick, Trundle, didn't really do anything that great. He had good pillars, but that's just not what you associate with MVP potentially Inspired here. And the fact that they went so early game, got outscaled, and then eventually just fell apart to that.
I feel like this series, more so even than what you would normally expect, is gonna come down to the mental. Whose mind is Asgard? Because there were mistakes from both sides. Mistakes.
Titanium.
Exactly. Adamantium brain. Because both sides had very, very costly mistakes in this one. Spica stealing away the Baron. Tactical getting caught when he thought he found Danny. Both sides had wide open holes in their defenses, and both sides are going to have to just be absolutely focused for the rest of the series.
And it's really interesting, you know, and I don't know how EG is going to feel about this, but if I was on EG, if I was the coach for this, I look at this and I say, if I drafted late game, we win this game 100% of the time. If I drafted scaling, we were on even keel, we win this game every single time, and maybe the Trundle's not the problem. Maybe it should be Danny on Jinx, and you're going scaling, and you're just looking to match TSM in 5v5.
All right, well, I'm sweating after that one, so I got to find a towel or something, and while the team's ready up for game